Hi there. We're going to go over how to properly perform the mask test today. There have been some discussions on various discussion boards as to what constitutes a failure, how to properly test the mask, horror stories about armorers not knowing what they're doing, destroying the mask and the probe. Let's show you what happens here. First off, let's look at the probe. This is the Ullman style closed-end probe, meaning there's not an opening back here. Here's a probe right here. The spacing on the wires of the mask is specified between 1.9 millimeters between strands on the flat surfaces and 2.1 on the curved surfaces. This probe is obviously bigger than 2.1 millimeters. Inside is a calibrated spring that exerts 12 kilos, about 28 pounds of pressure when you depress the probe on the mask. That is what you need to check for. As far as the mask itself is concerned, here's how we do the mask check. Now first off, note this mask actually fails because it's missing the trim. There's a difference between a failed mask and a mask that does not pass. A mask that does not pass is something like it's missing a rivet in the side plates, like on these here. If this is missing a rivet, it does not pass. It can be fixed with a pop rivet, but you don't destroy the mask. You don't fail on the bib. You simply say get it fixed. If you have the weld and the brakes back inside, that can be re-welded. Trim that's loose can be re-affixed. If there's a tear in the bib, that can be sewn shut. If there's a dent that may catch a point, that can be pounded out. Those are not passing, but those are not failing. A failing is failing the punch test. Here's what we do. Armorer will first take the mask, and I'm going to look up through the inside against a light. What I'm looking for is any obvious deformation in the mesh. Instead of the strands being woven straight across, you might see a strand just over here. That can be pushed back into place if it passes the probe. Remember, masks fail not because the wire breaks, but because the weave fails and the white strands can separate. So I don't see any obvious deformations in here. I'm not seeing any missing strands, which is automatic failure, and that's a fail. A broken wire anywhere is an automatic fail. Doesn't matter if it's the off open side way back here, it's a failure. I'm going to feel for anything that may catch a point, a dent in the mask, a loose bit of trim, whatever, it can be fixed. And once it's all done, make sure rivets are there. Then I'm going to perform the punch test, and here's how we do it. Okay, you take your probe. Now first, there are two types. There's the Ullman, which is closed in. There's a Leon Paul, which has an open in here. When you push down, a little plunger comes up. You put on those kind, you put your thumb over that hole and you push down. When you feel that probe touch your thumb, you stop. Do not keep pushing. You're exerting proper pressure. I prefer the Coleman closed in because I don't have to worry about that. So, don't put it on the table. If you're an inexperienced armor, you might add your weight to the punch. I hold mine in my lap. I test 3 places: in front of the eyes, the nose area, and the mouth area on both sides. You do not go at an angle. You do not push in and wiggle. You do not do that. You see, you hold the probe perpendicular to the surface of the mask and you push all the way down, all the way up. That's it. A little stick there, that's fine. That passes. If I was running control, this mask would pass. This mask passes. A failure, okay? If you see the probe here, you have this little shoulder right there at the base of the probe. If the mask sticks and it's here, it's fine. It must go to the shoulder of the probe. This mask does have a failure in it. So, that is a fail. You see the probe goes all the way down to the shoulder with a failure. There it is. All the way down. Okay, oops. There we are. You'll hear it go tink. That's a fail. It's all the way down. If it's not all the way down, it is not a failure. It can be fixed. You should tell the fencer to probably buy a new mask, but it passes. Okay, that is how you test a mask. Do not wiggle it. Do not destroy it. Do not try and force a failure. It is not the idea of the punch test to see if it can be forced to fail. You can put this probe on an FIU mask. You punch it enough times in the same spot, it'll eventually fail. The idea is to go punch, 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 and see if it does fail on a normal test. And that is how you punch a mask.